7 o'clock, do we have a motion to open our meeting?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Finance Committee. It's Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. This meeting is being audio and video recorded for future reference. What we're going to cover tonight is some reserve fund transfers and interdepartmental transfers to just, wrap up the year, take care of any unfinished business. So I sent these out to everybody today. I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at them with the email.
Yes.
Sydney had sent them to me, so then I forwarded them to everybody. So the first one we'll take up is the reserve fund transfer. That's going to cover the fire salaries overtime in the amount of $7,300 and the police salaries overtime in the amount of $16,000.
I think it's liabilities insurance.
Oh, is that on yours? 'Cause I
It's
didn't have it
on the
mine.
second page, it's not on my first page.
It's on this one.
Oh, so it's not on that,
Separate.
so it's not on
It's on
this.
the,
Okay, and then the liability insurance for $19,900 for a total of $43,200, and that's coming out of our reserve fund. So Jamie, what, does that like wipe out our reserve fund?
Not quite, but pretty close.
Pretty close?
Yep. Now, fire department overtime, we've worked within the budget and to bring it down from original estimate was double digits. Police department, we did the same thing too. The liability insurance is an IOD issue that we have to make up some. We've got someone on IOD that's been on it for a while. We are waiting to try to do a disability retirement, but the doctors are, the medical board hasn't ruled yet going that way. And so it was unexpected to be this long. And I can't give you the details because of HIPAA as far as who or the exact injury,
But when it comes to, just from experience, when it comes to work comp injuries, and the Department of Industrial Accidents gets involved.
well, this is IOD, so we're responsible for the full amount. It's
Right, but
not-
the point I'm making is it's very it takes a while for these
And
things to get settled.
this has got to go to PERAC and everything else.
Right, there's a lot of
It's,
hoops that have to be jumped through.
and the medical panels haven't ruled yet. And we've been pushing forward on it for now almost 9 months.
well, understanding that we've got enough money in the reserve fund to cover it, I'll make a motion to approve the reserve fund transfers as requested.
How about the fire and police?
They're all on the same.
Same.
Yep, yeah, I mentioned those. They're all included in this one.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Sorry, just one question. This covers us through June 30th? This is through June 30th, yep. Just because it says July transfers.
Well, it's, we're able to do these transfers up till July 15th, next Tuesday.
We can make the transfers, it covers us through the June 30th expenses, yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No one's opposed, so the motion passes unanimously.
The next group are departmental transfers under Chapter 44, Section 33B, where we have funding sources in other departments that can take care of some of the deficits in the various departments. We are Legal services, is something that we have no control over. And
Do we have something unexpected? Because I thought we were pretty much level with legal services the last half a year plus.
we were, but it's just the bills come in. We had a lot of negotiations with the contracts. And
Okay, so a contract negotiation. I think.
And we had some with, one or two committees had some issues that they had to resolve in the real estate area.
The other question I had was snow removal. I'm actually surprised to see an overage considering we had such a weak
Light year.
season for snow.
That includes, at the end of the year, a large purchase of salt.
Okay, that makes good sense.
Well,
And then for
it's
next year.
cheaper than.
Yep, and then for next year, I'm happy with that.
And,
But we normally fund snow removal with 150,
125 is
125?
one,
125 or 150, but we used it all up, is what we're saying
I
here.
think it's 110, but I'll have to,
It's over 100.
yes.
Yeah, and that, so even though it was a low year, we went through all of that.
And we also had, even though it was a low year, we still had the bonus for the private drivers for perfect attendance. And that keeps us, every year we do that. If we have a bad year,
Yeah.
it's
We need it.
good for us and
Yeah.
bad for the drivers. Small snow year, it's good for the drivers.
How about the health insurance, Jamie, the 147?
That was to make sure that we have everything covered.
Okay.
We had a catastrophic the last 6 months. The individual is leaving our employ in August and going on Medicaid.
Kind of makes me feel sorry we didn't put more of a stabilization fund into our health insurance fund.
Well, this is separate, but the stabilization is to build up the reserve.
Right, but I'm sorry we didn't put more, knowing we were gonna take 150 out right now for a need. That's all.
Well, it's also because for the stabilization, we were lucky this year, we were a 9.9 increase. I mean, the average statewide was 13 to 15. And I just talked to someone today that the retiree increase was 19%. And Maya has gone through half their reserve, and that's the biggest dog in town as far as health insurance. So if they go through the next half next year, we're in trouble. They're in trouble. We're not.
On the funding sources, I'm surprised to see 11 coming back from Old Colony, but especially I'm surprised to see 125.30 from CMAS. I thought that bill would have caught us.
That's two different CMAS.
I know, but still, I'm surprised to see any overage with CMAS.
We're expecting, the problem is it isn't this year, it's next year we're expecting the substantial, because that's when the contract,
Yeah, starts again.
yeah.
On the town clerk, we have a $12,000 shortfall. Salaries clerical. Do we know where that came from?
Because of all the elections.
And we didn't know about this last year?
Well, part of it also is in years past, let me rephrase that. We have a different individual in the finance department now. And in years past, some department heads self-helped. Because in between, if it was town clerk and it was in between, let's say, or let's use my account, and it was in between salaries and expenses, they would transfer. We have someone now who insists on votes, and you'll see on this one, we had to go to the selectmen where a lot of departments never did for transfers among, inside the department. We have someone who insists on line item by line item. But this was interdepartmental. And registrar of voters is different than town clerk, even though it's under the same person.
Yeah, but I think what we're saying is if we're talking about salaries, that should have been a known amount. What brought us over 12,000? Are they, the new person, is that in a different pay grade? So their salary was
no.
higher than we were planning? Is it?
No, it's from what I understand, it's some of the temporary help that was in there to help during the election.
So it's more than one individual.
Yeah.
Then that makes sense if we're talking about breaking in others for those.
But it's not from the
Still
registrar's line.
That's, yeah. I mean, we know how many elections we are going to have, right? So I guess I'm surprised $12,000 seems like a significant shortfall for an election.
When you look at it, 8,000 are coming from the registrars, so that's coming up to pay for it.
Yeah, I
just-
know the
but yes.
funding source, fine. It's just that I'm shocked that I'm surprised we have that much of a deficit.
We're probably going to, with the new finance department, I think the departments will be less likely to hit this issue in the future.
Okay, makes it easier for us.
Yeah, not for them.
I don't have any problems with the
Or-
departmental transfer part. Any questions got answered? By the way, congrats on being here another 6 months.
4.
Only 4?
Yeah, that was my agreement with she who must be obeyed.
You get us through another town meeting though, right?
Well, that's what I want to talk to you after we do this.
Anybody have any questions?
I'm good. Make a motion to approve?
I'll second the motion to approve the departmental transfers as presented.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, being no further discussion, everyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No one opposed. Okay, so the motion passes unanimously.
In the past, the intra-departmental transfers, a lot of them were done just by the department head. The new personnel and finance have insisted that it go by a vote of the Board of Selectmen, so you'll see the third page. What's the memo? Doesn't need a vote from you folks, but I thought you should see it. Just so you guys know how the finance department in the future will be running different.
So is there a threshold on what the department heads can transfer, a dollar threshold or anything they
According
have to
to
go?
her, no. It has to be by vote of the selectmen.
feel like we've done this in the past.
Yeah.
We've done this in the past, it's just, but I don't think it's gone before the Board of Selectmen in the past. I think that's the only difference. But I think as a finance committee, we've done this.
Well, you've done the inter-department, but the inside the department.
Okay, yeah, all right.
But I thought we,
Intra, yes.
We've seen it, like they've moved this and
Yeah.
shuffled it, but as long as it was in their own department, we didn't have to vote
yeah,
on it.
okay. I
I'm
don't know
just-
why I'm recalling something where you go from expense, well, salary to any other expense.
Before May,
Okay,
but under,
but now we wouldn't have to.
at the
Because I
end
do
of the
remember
year,
that.
at the end of the year, there's flexibility.
I'm surprised to see $4,500 in the fire department for their dues subscriptions, because we approved based on what was needed for the year, so I don't know how almost $5,000 came out of that. And 13,000 overage on energy surprises me as well.
No, some of the energy costs we've been lucky with.
Just surprised to see it.
Reaping the benefits already.
Now, thank you for the vote, and
So that's my piece.
this is what I delivered to the selectmen last night. And it's,
Could I have one more, please?
oh, sorry. As far as the final payroll, we had to adjust some salary rates for the steel workers and the non-contractual personnel. It was off by short money. It would be like $200 for on the annual costs. Just because of the way one of the temporary accountants in the past figured it out, it was off by a couple cents. And we have someone with, oh, that bothers her, so she dug into it. It was all funding within the budgets. Treasurer, collector, finance worked with Harper's to correct chart of accounts. I've talked to Todd Hassett. He's coming in. We're getting his start date for the chart of accounts will be August 1. We're trying to get the commencement meeting with Munis. It's a $28,000 access fee to Munis, but Todd says he'll be able to fix the town side chart of accounts to be
Compatible and up to date.
compatible with the mandate. The school side was done over the last year and a half. We're closing all the accounts now for FY25. We're hoping Schedule A recap free cash certification can be done by the end of September. 26 accounts, I said the time frame would be August for loading. They're already loaded.
Nice.
And the target date is probably October for a town meeting. Once we get free cash certified. We have one past year bill that came in from, or wasn't, actually no one knew it was there, from KP Law that we have to deal with. We're meeting with the fire chief about the 3 vehicles and how we fund those, ban versus reserve versus free cash, and what will arrive when. And then as far as some other free cash issues, the board would have to decide whether it's going to deal with catching up on some of the cruiser issues in the fall, and then replenishing some of the stabilization. Then hopefully town meeting will be done. We can get the tax rate in October, and people can know what's going on before the vote for the debt exclusion.
Which debt exclusion is this one?
OC. I'd like to have all this financial stuff done and ready so that everybody who's going to vote actually knows what the tax rate is, what the average house is, and what the cost per average house is. So that's finance department's targets. I'm happy we have a good team there now. And they are actual employees, not temps.
So prior to us taking up that debt exclusion, are they gonna have some public hearings?
I don't know, it's not run by us.
Right.
But
I would imagine, I think they're
But
gonna have
that's
to.
why I want all this information
Mhm.
out there and ready for the voting public.
Right, because that's gonna be a big deal, you know, for our residents. All right.
Do we know what the latest thinking is with regards to OC? As far as,
I haven't been involved.
I have not received anything from Aaron.
yeah,
So
I was just
lately,
wondering if there was any indication as to what
The
the
talk
request would
was,
be.
the talk was just that the election would be in November.
But there definitely needs to be a lot more discussion. And I think even amongst towns, you know, the 5 towns that are gonna be impacted by this. I think the finance committees should probably perhaps get together and have their own discussion with regards to this. I think that would be prudent to do that, to just see, kind of try and get a feel for what the other communities are thinking.
Well, Mattapoisett is,
Irrelevant.
when I talked to the TA there, his concern is more his regional school district, because they have very few people going to.
Well, that's, I think,
Going
to that
to
point.
OC.
So-
And their total student population in the town is seriously declining.
I think
So to that,
separate.
so to that point, for communities that, you know, feel that way because they're not worried about the financial impact, they need to know that we're really concerned about that and how it's gonna affect our residents. Because how they vote on this is gonna matter potentially to us.
Well, it's turnout as far as the vote goes.
But is it still 3 out of the 5 towns approve it, then
No,
it needs to be unanimous?
No,
Okay,
it's not an individual town-by-town vote.
So it's
It's a
cumulative.
district vote.
okay.
So if there's 5,000 total people between all the towns, they
Then it's
just need to get more
5,000.
than 2,500, right?
Yeah,
It's
Gotcha.
Majority only,
It's a
simple majority.
simple majority.
yep.
Good. Okay.
And the question would be for Mattapoisett is, will they even show up?
Well, I think, just, starting to educate people on this prior to this, I think is gonna be important, whether it's through social media, if that can be discussed through social media. We gotta find all that out, I think.
I just worry about social media
Yes, I know.
misinformation.
No, I know that.
So-
But so many people rely on that.
I know, as their
And-
source of
Yes.
info.
Like, to find out about meetings.
Yeah, yeah.
People aren't going onto our website, our town website, to specifically look for meetings. They happen to be scrolling on their Facebook page or whatever, and they see something pop
Sure.
up,
That's right.
and here's the meeting, and, oh yeah, so I'm gonna show up. So I just think we need to think of all these things going into this, because this is gonna be a big deal.
So how do you facilitate a vote like that, Jamie? Is it just one day all the town? Okay, all the members, any resident from the town can show up.
Any
Cast their
registered
vote.
voter?
Okay,
I'm sure we'll see some heartstring posts like we did before the last meeting.
Perhaps. Okay, so we got all that. We have some minutes to take up. Kathy, thank you for getting us these minutes. So the first set of minutes is from March 26, 2025. In attendance was myself, Sue Delgado, Eric Chu, Eric McGlynn, and Lisa Tomlinson.
I'll make a motion.
We have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I'm in favor. All right, so these minutes are good. Next set of minutes is from, excuse me, my acid reflux is acting up again. I can't get off of omeprazole, I guess. All right, so the next set of meeting minutes is from April 2nd, 2025. In attendance was myself, Eric Chu, Kristen, Eric McGlynn, and Lisa Tomlinson. Do I have a motion?
Motion?
I'll
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, last set of minutes. April 9th, 2025. In attendance was myself, Phil Adams, Pete Benoit, Eric Chu, Kristen Flynn, Eric McGlynn, and Lisa Tomlinson.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I've had that one, so I'll make it.
Yes. All right, so we covered all the minutes. Before we cover anything else, I just want to, thank everyone that's here tonight, and even for our members who couldn't make it tonight, for, participating in a long, arduous budget season. This was definitely probably the most challenging that I've been part of. I think Sue would probably attest to that. That's for a lot of different reasons. But, thanks for, Jamie's guidance, steering the ship,
Yep.
helping us navigate through this challenging year, and preparing us, for next year too, because we know it's not gonna be any easier next year. The other thing I wanted to address, from town meeting, when Sue and I are up on that stage, it's sometimes we're thinking of things that we're gonna say, and, sometimes a resident may take the podium and say something, and we kinda, didn't really pick up on it. Well, there was one thing that was pointed out to me that, I don't know who the resident was, but when she took the podium, she mentioned something about the finance committee just voting unanimously on everything, and I didn't pick up on that, and I should have, because I would have commented on that for sure. But what I'll say to that, for anybody out there listening, is, if we voted unanimously on something, it's because we vetted it, we did our due diligence, and we thought it was right for the town. And luckily, we have a committee here, not that we all exactly think alike, but we're all aligned as far as what's right for the town. So that's part of the reason why you might see a lot of that when we vote. And we also understand the position
Our
of the...
modifications have already been made because of our comments.
Yes.
So by the time we get there,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And, you know, many times, the Board of Selectmen have already gone through these things before we have. And, you know, fortunately, we have a board that, you know, not that we all have to think alike, but we understand the constraints that our town is under, as far as we have to be fiscally conservative, and we're gonna have to stay that way. And I think that's a good thing, because if we weren't that way, we'd be in a lot worse shape. I was thinking about that on the drive up here today. And I'm like, you know, if we weren't the way we are, just think of the things we'd be dealing with right now, right? If we weren't as tight with our budgets and holding people to the fire like we do, it would be a lot worse. So I think, you know, going forward, we have to continue on this path, and it's the way we have to do business in the town of Acushnet. You know, we're not the town of Fairhaven, we're not the town of Dartmouth, we're not other towns. We have our own set of issues here. So how we operate may not be similar to other towns.
And they don't see what happens, like you said, here in these meetings, most of them aren't watched. But at town meeting, you don't see the things that have come across that we have not agreed with and sent back for more information, or passed on that non-recommendation to the selectmen that never make it to town meeting because they agree.
Right, I mean, I remember this past year, the discussion we had about the planning board, the secretary, right? The hours, we wanted to see things one way, and it didn't happen, but I think all that's gonna work itself out. But that's just an example of us, you know, not necessarily agreeing with the Board of Selectmen's direction on that issue. You know, there was a lot of discussion about the street sweeper. We spent, I think, a good amount of time on that during one of our FinCom meetings. I wanted everybody's input because I had a feeling that this was gonna be an issue on the town floor. And sure enough, it was. But I'm glad, you know, we got creative, or, you know, Kevin was creative as far as being able to get us to fund it, you know, find a way to fund it without losing the street sweeper. So it's stuff like that, but.
Yeah, just driving around after last week's storm, you could
Yes.
see how.
So I think
it was
I think it's good that we have the street sweeper now.
Right,
You know, we got a couple more storms like that. I mean, we had another one last night. It wasn't as bad as the previous one, but,
Right, when we used to see it every winter, at the end of the winter, come through the school lots and sweeping up the salt and the sand, and it was, you know, we were grateful for the DPW to do that.
well, it's important, especially like bikes in the parking lot, and they're riding around. You don't want kids wiping out and hitting their head or whatever. You don't want to see anybody getting hurt. You know, like we had mentioned at the town meeting, the liability issue. You know, it's the safety and liability. So I think all that, you know, comes into play.
I get a kick out of the comments that, well, we haven't seen the street sweeper in ages.
Because it's not working.
Because it's been broken.
It's funny because it's not funny, but that weekend, just before the town meeting, I had to go down to the recycling center, and I'm looking at that thing, and I forgot who was working down there, I forgot his name. I said, hey, that's our street sweeper over there? He's like, yeah. I'm like, man, that thing looks rough. He's like, yeah. He's like, that thing has definitely seen better days. They can't even get parts for it, it's so old. It's over 20 years old, so they can't get parts to fix it. So, I mean, we had to do something.
It's definitely a public safety issue.
Yeah.
To have that on the streets, especially now with the increase of these electric bicycles
Yes.
and things of that
Yes.
nature.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well,
I see the kids flying through.
Oh, yeah.
around the
They
email.
run
Yeah.
20, 30 miles an hour on
Yes.
those things, you know?
And the focus we have on bike and bike safety
Right.
and more accessibility on the streets and everything else,
Well,
and bike lanes being.
We don't want to see what happened,
Doesn't help.
that happened a couple years ago, right in front of the Council on Aging. You know,
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh, yes. The guy on the bike that got
Yes.
injured, did he
when he died.
Killed.
die? Okay,
Yep.
killed.
Yeah. You know, and thank God they finished the Hamlin Street project, and I've gone up and down a few times just to test it out, and man, I think they did a great job on that. So that came out good, I'm glad it's wider. Every time I used to take my pickup truck down there, I used to be like, I hope somebody's not coming the other way, I hope somebody's not coming the other way. But now you don't have to do that as much, you know?
They could just landscape around White's now again.
Yeah.
It's very depressing at how overgrown that's gotten the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was a photo op, everybody came down to it, it was a nice piece of history, now it's just Looks like an overgrown, rundown shack. Hate it.
Which factory you're talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that covers everything. Anybody have any old business? New business?
Good.
So next meeting date will be to be determined. We'll probably meet, once or twice, I would imagine, before fall town meeting.
I'm not expecting a huge warrant,
Right. So I don't think we'll have to have probably more than 2 meetings, I would
but
imagine.
I definitely want to have something so we can set the tax rate
Yeah.
definitively.
Well, when you get information, you let us know.
Mhm.
We have flexibility.
And I think what will be helpful too is when, I know you're going through closing FY '25, and I know that takes time, but once all is said and done, if we could get a report of the turnbacks, a detailed report of what was turned back from the budgets, I think that would be helpful to us, because I know that we wanted to reference that in our budget discussions from the various departments. I mean, not that, just because someone doesn't use their funds in their budget, doesn't mean that they don't need it, but maybe there's, a reason for it, or maybe there is an opportunity for an adjustment to be made. So I think that would be very
A
helpful.
guideline.
Right, just to see, just to have that to be able to reference.
And just to follow that up, I think in the past, we've also asked from the school department to see I think it was their last quarter of spending, right?
Yes,
I think we've
that'd
asked
be
for
very
that.
helpful.
So, I mean, if we could get the last quarter of spending so we can see, how they're handling the end-of-year business, so to speak, that'd be helpful.
Agreed.
Okay?
If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.